Again, I'm really sorry about there being like no uploads. I just want to say this real quick before the video starts. I'm gonna put a timestamp so you can just go watch what I have to say. But the reason there hasn't been any videos is my gym got hit with a natural disaster. So I had really just been focusing on trying to help get our gym back, and now we're in good shape, so I can kind of put more focus back into making videos. So yeah, that was just what I had to say, just so everybody knows. Jake Paul versus Chavez Jr. The less we say about it, probably the better. This fight was boring to watch, ruined Chavez's. Chavez's legacy has been ruined. He was just there for the paycheck. Like, he says that every way but saying those exact words.
Yeah, he was on his way.
I think he started later. His strategy to find out the first 3-4 rounds because it's like tie.
If I had to be just completely honest with you, I quit watching the fight after about the 4th or 5th round, just because I kind of realized where it was going. I see everyone immediately jumping onto, oh, it was rigged. The contract said Chavez couldn't punch. I don't believe that for a second. No matter what, if there was a bonus for him to lose, he would lose. If the bonus was something as simple as a pack of gum, he would lose. So if I haven't made it clear, I wasn't really happy to watch the fight. It was boring. I didn't enjoy it. Was not entertained is how I should end that, is that I was not entertained. What I will say though is, like, a pro that I did see in the fight was I think Jake looked a lot more technically sound. Definitely he looks like a guy who's had a few fights. I don't think he looks like a 10-bouter, but he looks like a guy who's had a few fights, and he looks like he knows boxing now. Really the only complaint I could see from him is he's very right hand prone. Even Chavez caught him with a really good right hand. And I think that comes down to him using the Philly shell and using it improperly. Like, the Philly shell is a defensive technique, not an offensive, which it can be used offensive, but he's not really using it like that. He's just using it as his stance in general. I think he should have a little bit higher of a guard and keep himself more protected from right hands. But other than that, he did honestly really good. He had a good game plan, keeping Chavez at the end of the jab. If Chavez would have been boxing how he could have boxed, like walking him down, that would have been the game plan, keeping him at the end of the jab, using that uppercut when he comes in. So he had a game plan, he stuck to it, and it was a good game plan, and he looks knowledgeable, and he looks like he has some experience. So that is something you can take away from this. And another thing we can take away is that Jake Paul has his eyes set on the belt. He wants to be a world champion. And I thought that was actually really interesting because it's a good talking point of how does he stack up against the IBF and the WBC rankings and their champions. And I kind of wanted to look over that and see what kind of chance he actually has, or who he could be fighting within the rankings, because he is ranked now. I believe his ranking is 14. He's somewhere. He's not quite top 10, but he's close. He's like 14, I believe. Now that starts a whole nother discussion of, did he deserve rank 14? But I won't go into that right now. What I will go over though is what it means to be ranked. So Jake Paul is ranked in the WBA cruiserweight rankings. And if you don't know what that means, there's tons of different organizations and all their different champions with all different rankings. Jake Paul is in WBA cruiserweight rankings. So to find Jake Paul's next opponent in this hypothetical, we have to look at those rankings. And let's say that Jake Paul had to climb the ladder. He had to fight number 13th ranked now. If that was the case, Jake Paul would have to fight Giovanni, which I don't believe that Jake Paul will climb the ladder if he does ever get a title shot. But in this instance, this hypothetical, let's say he's climbing the ladder, right? He's got to make it to top 10. Giovanni would be his first opponent, and I think he might even be a little bit better. Maybe I haven't seen enough of Giovanni to know, but I think Jake Paul could beat this guy. And the reason I say that is just watching Giovanni. He has some sharp punches. He understands boxing, but he fights a lot like a Jake Paul. You can see that the experience is there. It's just, he's not elite. He's right there on like C tier, you know? And Giovanni isn't really a stopper. He doesn't stop his fights. You know, he's a boxer. He wins through points. He wins by decision. He uses his jab. He's very much a technical fighter. He's not a knockout artist. Now, I'll say this again, I don't think Jake Paul will fight the next ranked guy above him. That's just not what he's doing. He's building himself up. He's building his record so that he has more big names on there to make more money. So it would make really no sense for him to fight Giovanni. But if they were to a fight, I could see a world where Jake Paul wins. Jake Paul definitely has a power advantage against Giovanni. I think Jake Paul has better camps than him. So I think that if the fight were to happen, it would be I could see it being a toss-up, but I can see a world where Jake Paul wins. Now, me already saying that, it doesn't look good for Jake Paul. If he's having a toss-up against the guy that's just one rank above him and has one more fight than him, then how would he do against someone who has 40 more fights than him and is very active and is not just throwing fights for money? And me saying that kind of just ends the discussion right there. No, I don't think Jake Paul could beat the #1 ranked guy. I don't think he has a chance of beating any guy with a title right now. What I do think, though, is that Jake Paul's next move is he's really pushing for that Canelo fight, right? The money's there now, so the risk versus reward for Canelo is there. And I do believe that Jake Paul's next fight could actually be Canelo. I think after Canelo gets done fighting Crawford, he wants to get one last big payday. Jake Paul's right there. I think it would be perfect. It would just set it all up. So personally for me, Jake Paul's next opponent is going to be Canelo. But who do you think Jake Paul's next opponent is going to be? Leave it in the comments. That's really all I have to say for today. You guys have a great day. I'll see you later.